All right, I believe we are live. So, first time trying it out with Instagram. So, this is going to be interesting. Let's see if it actually works. Oh, it is. Awesome, guys. Well, welcome to Get the Bag weekly. So these are usually the weekly calls that we do in our school community, but I kind of want to open it up to everyone who is on Instagram and LinkedIn. Yeah, we're live everywhere. So thank you guys as you come in. This recording, because it is live, it will. Well, I'll kind of decide whether I want it to be available afterwards. But I'm going to be dropping a ton of value today. We're going to focus on underwriting, and we're going to focus on um, accessing commercial data. And this is something that I posted the other day, and I'm just double checking to make sure it has me on as live. I think I'm set as live, but okay, cool. So hopefully I'm on Instagram. Uh, this is one thing I think. Go live. All right, I'm gonna try go live. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna be checking everyone on live, but so happy to have you guys on here today. So I have a little small deck that I put together, especially going through commercial, how to access commercial data. That is one of the things we're doing, part of our boutique. So I'm gonna go through that deck, and then from there, we're gonna do like a quick, like 5-minute underwriting and how we assess deals and where to come in at a purchase price. I think that's one of the number one questions that gets asked when you actually go through get a commercial deal. And we're going to just focus on, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to focus on multifamily. Just double checking that I'm listed on. All right. I don't know how this is working, but we're just gonna vibe today. So I'm gonna share a deck here. Yeah, I think it is working. Perfect. And feel free to drop a comment in the chat. I see people on. What's good? So if there's a lag, no, I'm literally on 3 different platforms. But perfect. But I'm going to be sharing my screen. Hopefully those on Instagram, you guys are able to see it. Extra camera, share screen. We're just gonna Chrome tab. All right. Woo. Perfect. All right. I won't really be able to see the comments because I'm just doing it on my laptop, but I'll make sure to double check it. But this is what we do. We make off-market commercial deals, accessing them and doing commercial deals easy. And we do this all through collaboration. So again, this won't be a really long presentation. It's going to be more of me kind of showcasing, sharing my screen, doing calculations, things of that nature, but not I'm not doing a Zoom call, so don't expect you guys to be on camera, but maybe I'll bring you guys up. So today, actually, that's the wrong presentation. I think it's this one. Today, we're going to be focusing on how to access commercial data and then there we go, why data matters, keeping your data organized in your CRM, how to quickly underwrite commercial properties. Again, today we're going to just focus on multifamily and understanding what it is you're calculating, the verbiage, I should say, as well. So that's where we'll go over. I'll give you guys a little glimpse into our school community, again, so you guys have kind of cool access and see kind of the information that's provided. And then we'll do kind of again, quick review on that. So for those who don't know, my name is Gladia. I've been in real estate for about 3 years, specifically in the off market realm through wholesaling. For the most part, I was doing residential up until recently, where I decided I'm going to go all in into commercial. So I'll probably mention this in the next one, but me and my business partner, co-founded G84 Capital. We are an investment boutique. We don't just focus on buying and selling. We focus on creating solutions for commercial owners that isn't just buying and selling. There's always other problems that, especially when you reach commercial, it's a different type of issues where maybe it's not necessarily selling it, it's maybe refinancing or getting a better property management group, or how to increase the rents. I was just on a call earlier today, and one of the tips was how to add value, and that's kind of what we lead in our school community, and just how we approach all the deals that we do. um, Most of my background hasn't been in real estate, it's been in tech, through product development. So a lot of that, 7 years. But I believe that's really helped me in sort of running the operations in our organization. One of the new updates I have on my end is I'm going to be working towards getting my real estate license here in Florida to practice commercial real estate. So I'm really excited for that. And the reason behind that was to, again, add another tool to the tool belt. So we're already, as a boutique, we offer a variety of services. You typically, when you're in wholesaling, you're just focusing on the selling side and the buying side, right? But there's so many facets of real estate when it comes to, as I mentioned, property management, financing, contracting, ADU development. So there's so many services that we can provide to really solve the problems of these owners. So I'm really excited to add listings. So instead of me referring it out to someone, I can literally list it myself. So that's kind of the gem there, especially in the commercial world. It made total sense to do it. And I also run a podcast with my partner as well, Get the Bag podcast, and our school community is called Get the Bag. So we keep it easy here. And as I mentioned, you may have heard us from one of the things I'm documenting is my road to seven figures, road to $1 million, wholesaling commercial. That's I'm still working on that, but it's, again, documenting my process because, hey, like, you go through the ups and downs. So I wanted to make sure that that was something that I prioritized. And then I have the off-market blueprint, which is a course we created in the school community. I'll probably change that to be the school community that we created. But it's essentially dissecting exactly what we do and packaging it up for you guys to take with you and take action on. And then, as I mentioned, Get the Bag podcast. That's a podcast we've ran for the last 2 years, which is crazy. We have a good amount of information there. Honestly, the information there alone with the people we brought on, you're honestly can get yourself rolling into wholesaling. And then eventually, hopefully commercial. So I'm going to touch a little bit upon why data matters, and then I'm going to hop into Propwire and kind of show you guys how I've been able to access commercial data, specifically multifamily. I'm not going to say, hey, you can get all this commercial data. And now, if you do want to transition to commercial and say you want to get into RV parks or, I don't know, industrial warehouses, Propwire, I don't think has that. Well, we'll double check in a minute. But if you want like the really good sauce, Reonomy, CoStar is really good. And then I think LoopNet is always going to have commercial deals, but you think of LoopNet as like the Zillow of commercial. If you're seeing it on LoopNet, then that means nobody's been able to find a buyer. So we'll just keep it at that. But it's a good way to, if you're new in the commercial world, you can access that. And then MLS is always a great tool as well. But again, it's usually mostly on the residential. Again, if you want commercial, CoStar is sort of, you can match it with that. So these are the kind of areas where you can get commercial data. And I did a video the other day on how I was able to get multifamily 5 units and up. For those who don't know, 1 to 4 units. So a single family up to a quad, which is 4 units, is considered residential. Anything from 5 units and up is considered multifamily commercial. So just something to keep in mind. But I did a video where I went and got 5+ units of data for multifamily, and I was able to upload it to my CRM. So I'm going to showcase that a little bit, what that looks like in my CRM, so you guys have an idea. And then the really most important thing is your data does matter, because once you enter the real estate world, you're going to see left and right. People are going to say, hey, I have the best data here, or I have the best data here. You're going to have people from India and the Philippines hitting you up on Facebook saying like, hey, for $100, you get, 20,000 records, skip trace and whatnot. Yeah, that may sound really good and a good deal, but you may get that data and it's completely wonkers. Like it doesn't have the right owner's name. Maybe the address is off, the numbers are totally wrong, which is why it's so key to have an organized system like a CRM, where you can essentially house all of your data and keep it organized and know where it came from, which is why I love Ari Sift, and I'll show you guys in a minute. But where you skip trace matters too. So your known skip trace services are batch skip tracing. I think kind skip tracing has kind of come up because they do a combo. They do like a deal where for I think 10,000 records, you get it 10,000 records and you get it skip trace for $300, and that's a pretty good deal. So that kind of thing, you have to test it out sometimes. So that's why it's key to have a CRM that can house that data, and then you can compare the data. So if you run a full campaign of those 10,000 records that came from kind skip tracing, and then you have a set of data that came from batch skip tracing, you can compare in terms of like, I got better results here. It's all just a numbers game, and making sure that you're tracking that information. So I'm going to exit out of here. Want to make sure there's no perfect. There's no questions. But I'm going to hop into REI Sift real quick. I thought I was logged on. And for those who don't know, REI Sift is a CRM slash like data management tool. I believe the lowest they have is the lowest tier, I want to say, is 150. And then their business plans is $300 a month. But guys, it's so powerful. If you guys are interested in checking it out, just let me know and I'm happy to walk you guys through it. But you can see here, I've purchased or either gotten data. I have over 300,000 records in my database, which is why I haven't gotten rid of REI Sift. Like, although they do recommend you should have your data like off the software, like have it somewhere in a drive or something, just in case data gets lost or whatever. But that's a lot of data, guys. So where else would I really house over 300,000 records? So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're selecting a CRM. And obviously organization and keeping it clean is big. So I'm going to basically show you guys how, based off the video that I did, how I was able to get this data, this specific multifamily data. So what's really cool is I found out about Propwire, and what's really interesting is I have to kind of see other people use it. And I've already heard other people vouch for Propwire, which I believe is I'm blanking out on his name, but he's a very well-known investor slash wholesaler. Probably see a ton of his videos. I am blanking out on his name. I am so sorry. But he created this software, and it's free. Like it's not like PropStream. PropStream is, I believe, $97 a month. I don't know if it's increased. I don't really use it anymore. But it's like a PropStream. But again, you still have to verify and test out your data. So whether this is free or not, I think the only portion where you do have to pay in Propwire is for skip tracing. So I don't know if I can log in, but I think I can still kind of show you guys how it's done. So I think in the video I did, okay, I want probates. And if you can see here, so they do not have other commercial. So the only commercial data they have is multifamily 5+. Oh, and by the way, random, what I also love about REI Sift is that they have, I can request data from them as well. So I think depending on the plan, so I'm on the business plan. I can get up to, I think, 10,000 records, I believe. I have to verify that. Don't quote me. But I can get free records. Now, I do have to skip trace it. But again, that's one less thing I have to do. So, another reason why I love REI Sift and why you should sign up as well. So, back to Propwire. So, I've selected commercial. I'm not going to worry about the price right now or anything else. I mean, this may be cool to know, whether it was a private lender. Maybe you want specific, I don't know if you can filter by units. Doesn't look like you can. In others, you can filter by units, but I can filter by whether it's an individual, meaning like they don't have it under a company name. Are they out of state? This is going to filter it out quite significantly. So you don't want to filter it out too much. So see, it went to 0. So we're just going to say most of these people. Okay, so out of the 21, I think that came out, there's 2 people here, and they're pretty big. Looks like it's 24 unit and then 21. So all you would do is you select it, and then you select here to download it. You do still have to sign up, but it'll just say, oh, download, and then it'll give you an option. Do you want to skip trace? And then you can either do it again if you have to test out the skip tracing tool. So if you did want to use Propwire, see, for me, and I'll show you guys in REI Sift, I actually compare but through creating a tagging system on like, okay, and mostly I use REI Sift skip tracing and then batch skip tracing. And then I never do more than 2 because I think it's a waste of money at that point. Usually the third is either like a skip genie, which is if I want to do further research, meaning I've already skip trace through 2 different platforms and I haven't gotten any numbers. I'm going to go in further and check out how see if I can get more information on relatives, things of that nature. But if I'm going to skip trace through Propwire, I have to ensure it's tagged so I can create reports and I can see what the results are. So I would download this here, right? And then one of the key points that I did mention in the video that I want to iterate, and this is where people waste money, lots of money. Skip tracing is expensive, guys. Unless you have a good deal, like a decent skip trace is like 8 cents a record. Some I've seen 15 cents, 20 cents a record. That adds up, especially if you're talking 10,000 records. And the way to wholesaling is through data, right? You have to get data. And the better the data, the better the results, the more you can access the owners, right? So this is how it's usually done. This is how people actually like go through their data when they don't have a system in place. Because I've been there before, guys. And this was before I had REI Sift. So I'm just going to get more data. And then I'm going to say, yeah, let's just do these 3,000. So let's just say I don't have REI Sift. Let's say I have Google Drive where I keep all my data. That's where I used to create folders and date them by the month. And say I have I'm creating my July month data for the month, right? Now, last month I took out, 3,000 records. And then this month I'm going to take out more. Now, softwares are getting smarter now where you can select, bypass, or you select a little checkbox that says, make sure you check for duplicates or check for properties you've already purchased with, right? But a lot of times it's not going to have that. So what happens is, okay, I bought 3,000 records last month. I'm going to buy 3,000 records more. Now, granted, this is free, but I still need to skip trace it because I have the information. I just don't have the numbers. You need the numbers to market to them, right? So I'm going to skip trace these 3,000, or I'm going to download it. I'm going to plug it into my Google Drive. And then I'm like, okay, cool. I have my Excel sheet or my CSV sheet. Let me plug it into a batch skip tracing. And then what happens is you skip trace it in batch skip tracing. You spend, I don't even know what 3,000. I think I say the going rate for batch is probably 9 cents. I think I want to say it's 8 or 9 cents. So if you imagine 3,000 times 8 cents, I think that's like over $200, if I'm not mistaken. 0.8 times 3,000. Oh, that's 2,400. That's a lot of money. 2,400. I hope I did the math right, even though we're calculating later. That's a lot of money, guys. And so what happens is you skip trace 3,000 without verifying the other records that you had from the previous month. And what happens is you're skip tracing the same data. So you probably had 200 records in your previous month, or if you imagine you're doing this consistently, you say you have up to 500 records that you had already, but you bought it again and you're skip tracing again. You just wasted a ton of money. So what Ari Sift does is it makes you look into your data. So instead of that, I always recommend, if you have a CRM, whether it be Ari Sift or whatever, you upload your file first. Upload your file to your CRM. And let's just kind of go through. And what I love here, it's knowing where your data is going and where it's coming from. So here I think I did in the video, I put in Propwire, I chose the date. So let's just say today. No, it does not contain phone numbers. If it did, I would put in like where it came from. If it's not listed, you put in there, and then you select, all right, it was skip trace here. You select the specific data list. And then this is where RI Sift is king, guys. So you have the auto tags automatically added, but I add some other things. I'll say, okay, Propwire data, July Propwire data. I think I've had. So yeah, list purchase. So here, yeah, 7/2024. That stuff is going to be key because you're going to be able to track it, and you'll see what I mean. And this is applied in residential and commercial. How thorough are people doing this with their data? I don't see it. So you're going to go down, you're going to upload it. I'm not going to upload a list. You're going to map it. What I found out when I uploaded the list the other day, so I uploaded 21 records. I found out that in that breakdown, I already had 6 records. Now imagine if I did 10,000 records and I had like 300 updated records. Like, how much money have I saved if I wasn't paying attention? We're so mindless sometimes with what we're doing that we don't pay attention, and that's how we lose money. It's all about the profit, right, guys? So this is just a really key thing when it comes to it. Now, you'll see why it's so important to tag. And I'm just going to put sensitive just to blur out. So what you see is so vital with tagging is that you're able to see where you're at, where your property, where the data is at in the process. So this is a marketing function I use through REI Sift. But one of the things I also do is I clean up incompletes. So if I skip traces through batch, remember I said I only skip trace 2 locations. One is batch skip, the other is then REI Sift. So here I have, okay, these specific records. These are records. I think I cleaned it up this morning, so I don't think I have anything. And then I think on the other side, I may have cleaned that up as well. So this just shows from REI Sift. Okay, cool. These are ones that I skip trace through REI Sift first, but I didn't skip trace through batch skip tracing. So I have 173 records, and these are commercial, by the way. So now when I go in on the weekly basis, I know, okay, 173. Now, instead of skip tracing, several thousand, I want to target, say, this for like a niche campaign or something. So it just gives you that visibility so you can track. That's why tagging is so vital. And then if I'm going to get fresh data, I also create this specific filter where these are specific data that I have never skip traced ever. So I can go in, I'm not going to skip trace it all at once. Maybe I want to focus on out-of-state investors. So I filter in through that, right? It's just, guys, it just makes it so much easier. Instead of using Excel sheets, even like Podia, I think there's some other softwares out there. I think REI Simply is another one. But guys, in terms of like viewing your data and what you can do with it, it's so awesome. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of showcase that because that's something like so small that's not done consistently, right? So I'm going to head over to back here. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. I didn't see any questions in the chat. Yes, Jerry Norton. Thanks, Kai. Jerry Norton. Perfect. Oh, see, I did do my math wrong. See, 240. Maybe I added an extra 0 on my data. Thank you, Kai. Perfect. So now we're going to run into how to quickly underwrite. So this is again related to commercial. And many people, that's like one of the most common questions that we get is, Gladia, so how do you comp? What's the difference between comping commercial versus residential? Or how do you comp commercial? And the answer is, you comp it, you don't really comp commercial. Now you can get comps, like you can see, especially if it's a high dense area where there's, there's a lot happening. You may be able to compare like, oh, there's a 7 unit that sold, 2 months ago, or a 10 unit, and maybe yours is 15. So you just kind of go like price per unit, right? Price per door. And so you can kind of like cross reference that, but it's all going to rely on the numbers, guys. So you can't underwrite a multifamily deal, and we're going to stick with multifamily to keep it simple. You can't underwrite a multifamily deal without specific information. And I don't have this listed here. I think I have it in the course, but you need your T12s, which lists out all of the basically a rundown of the entire year. So every month, what was the breakdown? Like how much did you spend on maintenance? How much, what was the vacancy that month? How much was management? Maybe the roof had to get fixed, so there was extra cost there. It literally is a breakdown of every month. You need the rent rolls that gives you a breakdown of the specific tenants, and knowing, okay, did the tenants pay? Did all of the tenants pay on time? How were there lots of vacancies? Why were there vacancies? Again, you get to understand that, and like how much are they paying? Most of the time, tenants are paying under market rent, especially in LA. If we're talking LA, you have those like incorporated areas or rent, like protected areas where you can only have you can only charge a specific amount. You can only increase a specific amount every year. And I think there's new legislation coming out regarding that. So that's why it's important to kind of know some insights into what's going on in the commercial world. And then the other is the P&Ls, the profit and loss statements. Now, if the owner has a property manager, they should have this information. But for the most part, even the owner operated owners that operate, and manage their properties, for the most part, depending on the number of years, they may not have it. So you have to ask for bank statements. It's a shit show. Excuse my language. It's a mess, but you need that information to verify. Otherwise, you're literally driving blind and you can't really make a proper offer. So the numbers will tell you the truth of what's going on. So P&L, rent rolls, T12s, that's enough to you can work with it to quickly underwrite. Now there's more things you can look into as well. But it's just understanding those if we're talking basics, high level. Now, if you want to learn more, like going deeper, that's where our school community comes into play. So if you haven't checked us out, I believe I'll share the link. If you guys are on IG, my IG live, just hop on my profile and you guys can find the link there. And I'll be more than happy to share it. I believe it's on YouTube already, but definitely check it out. We'll dive a little bit deeper. So the key points, again, when underwriting is knowing the location, size, and type. Again, it's going to vary. I already mentioned the financials, the income, expenses. Again, knowing what's coming in, what's coming out, the market data, comparable properties. Again, usually for commercial, you're not necessarily using that, but you can. It's helpful, but you shouldn't use that as like the only reliant tool for that. Occupancy rates, because that's going to tell you if there's a large increase in like vacancy, like why is that happening? Is it the management? Is it like the upkeep? Like nobody's upkeeping the property? What's going on? And then the biggest thing is understanding the going rents in the area. That will help you understand in terms of adding value to the owner. So I always say add value, whether it's in residential or commercial, right? Is don't always assume they want to sell. Figure out what their problem is, because there's always a problem. There's either a financial problem, a partnership problem, a property problem. So understanding what problem that is and then dissecting it from there. So it's a little different conversation with the owners versus residential, but it's still the same play. It's all psychological. But I did go over this last week, the difference between residential and commercial. Usually residential, they're a little bit more emotional because they're tied to that property, whereas commercial, it's all business. So just kind of play by ear. It just kind of all depends. Understanding key commercial terms. So NOI, net operating income. That's, you have your expenses, you have the income that comes in. You're subtracting the income minus the expenses, and that's your NOI. Cap rate. So every market has an ongoing cap rate. You have to check by area. You have to check by asset, meaning multifamily versus industrial. It's going to be different. And so usually getting in touch with your broker or an agent, they should know what the going cap rate is. Or you can kind of see what's been on the market and what the broker has listed in their OM. They're offering I think, is it offering memorandum, I believe, that showcases the cap rate. So you can kind of compare that too. But usually getting really close with a broker or agent will kind of help you do that. And every cap rate's different. Usually the higher cap rate you see in the Midwest or smaller markets, a little bit lower cap rate. That means there's potential for value add, meaning increasing the value by doing updates to the property. And then cash flow, we all, for the most part, know cash flow. It's like, okay, after all the expenses, after, paying off the mortgage or whatever loan you have, paying off of the expenses, what are you left with? And then I mentioned income and expenses. So again, it's not all on what the comps in the area. You shouldn't just use that. You have to make sure you double check the numbers. So I'm going to dig in here, see if there's any questions. How does that work with a new building when there's no cash flow yet? That's a really good question. All that should be built in, right? Like that, and that varies on the market. So with new, typically the investor who's going to buy like, say it's a new, because this happens, there's a ton of development, right? Development buildings coming up where a ton of multifamily builds, you name it. And usually you have the developer builds it up, gets the, their profit, but then you have those REITs or you have those specific funds that are looking for properties, and they can do a cross segregation. And that's getting more technical, but there's always tax benefits to buying a multifamily property. And so it's usually people who are looking to buy and hold, or they're looking to do a 1031. They just need to park their money somewhere. So they still want to run down, right? They still have their own calculations and underwriting that they're doing, but it's a little bit different because there's no maintenance, right? Or there shouldn't be, right? It's a new building. Maybe what we're talking about is vacancy. Like, how long can we get this property up and running 100%? Who's the property manager there? Like, what are the costs on that? So they're still doing something similar, but they're looking at it from a different approach. So it's still somewhat the same, but it's still a little bit different in terms of the strategy. Because for the most part, again, it's either a tax incentive that they're looking for, maybe a state incentive where they can save money on that, and they can still make a lot of money. Or sometimes the developer, one of the things we're learning too is a lot of the developers that buy the properties, fix it up, build up new buildings, they're then staying on as owners. And refinancing out of the previous loan into a new loan, and they're able to cash flow that way. So there's so many ways you can do it, but that's just one of them. But that's a really good question. So we've done the data. I'm just going to quickly go through this is an OM. And for those who don't know, actually, I'm going to go over to my school community. I think I have to log in. Do I have it? Okay, cool. Oh man, maybe I can go to get the bag. Actually, I think it's on my, yes, get the bag. Perfect. But I think I have the app. There we go. Just logging in. Perfect. So this, if let me know if you can't see it, but this is our Get the Bag community. We have calls literally Monday through Thursday, and so today we usually have like a webinar, like where we discuss anything related to off-market commercial, the deals we're kind of doing, and then Thursday. So tomorrow we're going to do like a cold call role play kind of thing. All right. So this is the classroom that we have. Again, it's levels. You have to complete specific things, but one of the things we have is the commercial, and we have the terms. So these are the key commercial terms that you need to understand. See, this is the difference between wholesaling, residential, and commercial. Is commercial, you have to know your shit. Like you have to know what specific language. You have to not just understand it, but you have to know how to use it, and people are going to sniff you out quick if you don't know. So it's just practicing that. So anything that you need to know. So I think I mentioned here, like the OM, I think I put down, or maybe I didn't. But I probably will. But the NOI, the net operating income, and there's probably plenty of terms that I need to add on here. Yeah, I definitely do. I don't even have NOI, but these are kind of things that we do include. So I have all the essentials. So yeah, this is where I mentioned. But I'm still working on it. We're still working on how to structure that. But again, we go through the different assets, office buildings, retail. So really good stuff that we go over in that course. But I'm going to go back to the calculation. So this is a listing that it is on the market. So that's why I don't mind sharing it. And this is something from cold calling. Actually, today, it's a big fund, and they're looking to. These are the properties they're looking to sell, but they already have their agent, so it's on the market. As you can see, it's been listed since April. So I bet you if I looked up this property, it's probably on LoopNet, which people joke and say that's where deals go to die, which is pretty funny. 6838 bot. Let's see if we find on LoopNet. Oh, property is for sale. So LoopNet, like I said, if it's on LoopNet, that means all eyes are on it, right? It's like kind of listing it on the market. Like you kind of want to have that pocket list. And so here it is. And so this is the agent. So I'm just going to become really best friends, especially since I want to get my license, and seeing how I can add value. So this is sort of like the breakdown. And usually on LoopNet, they will have all the information you need, but typically they will give you an OM that's like a pretty presentation of the property, tell you about it. This is in a really prime location. And you can probably get pretty decent. It's just taken a while. So there's how many units did they have? It's 8 units. So here's a breakdown. Rent roll and expenses. So this is exactly what I was talking about. The pro forma. So there's a difference here, and you'll see in my rental calculator. So you have the pro forma, and then you have like the current, and then the stabilized pro forma. Pro forma is just like the data that they're giving you, all the information up front that you plug in. Current is like currently what the market, what the rents are at the moment, right? And then stabilized market rent is okay. If you were to fix it up all the way, meaning all the bells and whistles, this is how much you can rent it. You can rent the each unit at this size. Now, one thing to keep in mind with those, this is why it's so key to understand where your what the rent rates are going in the specific area, so that you kind of have an idea. So if you're like, okay, they're saying the market rent is 1,800, but I've been seeing mostly 1,500, so that's going to be a big difference. But if you see here, some of them are already paying market rent, so they're providing you all the information you need. So they kind of have like a breakdown here for you, but you always want to verify. You never just want to take what a broker is giving you, because not to say every broker is going to like lie or, fake their numbers, but some of them will beef it up a little bit so that the numbers look pretty. They'll give you some comparables as well, so you can take a look at, but you always want to verify. That's the biggest thing. And then usually they add some pretty like, oh, here's a neighborhood and this is where it's near. I mean, obviously it's in really, really good location. Like I would want to live out here in North Beach. Is actually really, really nice. But let's go back to the data, and we're going to end it with kind of plugging things in. This is a very basic calculator. It's through ACE. I think Invest with ACE. If you don't follow him already, he's a really great follow. This is where I purchased his calculator. There's also other ones that are well known, specifically in the multifamily space. He's called Michael Blanc. His is more extensive. That calculator I do have, but it's broken. I think I did something, so I have to fix it. But I'm keeping it simple. And plus, this is an 8 unit, so we can still plug it in. If we're talking like a 50, 100 plus unit, I probably would use the Michael Blanc one because it's very thorough. But here, it should be enough for me to kind of plug it in. So we're going to start with the current. So right here is the current. And then let's see what the price is. How much are they listing this for? Well, it would probably say on LoopNet. Oh no, some of it's incomplete. Price is $2 million. So 250,000. So a lot of investors, 6 cap isn't too bad, but there's not much room to kind of increase it perhaps because it's probably already somewhat turnkey, meaning like somewhat up to date. But usually when I talk to investors, I ask, okay, how much, what's your price per unit? Meaning like, yeah, per door, how much are you willing to spend? And so here it's 250. I talked to an investor I think yesterday. He says his is 190. So you kind of know like who is buying what, and this will be the easiest determining factor where you can kind of be like, okay, this is too high for my investors, and then you can just offer. Literally, if you want to simplify it, if you have an investor paying 175 a unit or 190, I would literally just divide that or times that. So I would do 190 times 8. And that would be my offer, or, whatever the case, however you want to approach your offering. But that's the simplest way, right? And to not complicate it. It's, again, to keep it simple. But for the education purposes, we're going to kind of go through here and fill out what the rents are. So does she combine it? Okay, perfect. I'm going to be lazy and I'm going to just add the current rent. So the price is $2 million that they're asking. Oops. So I think I'm just going to add it here. So it's 12,000, I think 433. Okay. And then we're going to go to the market rent, 15,683. So it's not much of a difference. 15,683. Perfect. And so this is where we get down into who's paying what. And I don't know, usually it'll list it out. So the current annual expenses. So this is annually what they're paying. So let's start with insurance. 10,000. We know insurance has been a big talk lately. 10,278. So I'm going to do 278. So this is per month. I'm going to do some divided by 12. All right, 856 per month. And then we got taxes, good old taxes, 21,703. We're going to plug that in. 703. Gas and electric. So looks like there's no gas, but it's 552 a year. It's not too bad. So 46 a month. Waste. Do I have waste? Let's to go with water. Water and sewer is 6,000 a year. Again, it's literally just doing this. Oh, it's almost the same. 6,000. So water and sewer are combined. So we'll just keep that in mind. Let's see. Waste, 2,520. So that's garbage. Equals sum. 2,120 divided by 12. 176. Waste. I did electric landscaping, 1,440. So here I'm going to do landscaping. Sometimes it's like snow, right? It depends on the market. So 1,440. All right, that's 120 a month. That's quite a bit, but it's Florida here. It rains literally, so I can only imagine the greenery is literally growing super quick. Okay, so I think I got all of these. So I need the cleaning. That's one thing I need to add. So here, that's kind of cool. They have cleaning. Nice. So it's almost like a hotel. I mean, that area is like super. And I think that's it. So okay, management. So they spend 7,200 a year. Really? Annual expenses. That's doesn't sound like very much. All right. What I have it by percentages here. So whatever I plug in here gets plugged in here into all the fees. So 745. But this is per month. So let's do I should have checked that first. Sorry, guys. But I'll just do a quick rundown. Looks like my mic disconnected. But basically, what happens is brokers are going to want to convince that this is a deal at the 2 million, but numbers don't lie. So if I'm a beginner, I probably don't want this deal, right? If I'm a beginner, I probably want something that's already cash flowing or go into partnership with somebody that knows what they're doing. But uh, somebody who's more experienced, who has a ton of properties under their belt, they'll probably want to do it to cost segregation or something along those lines. So more than likely they'll take this on and be like, okay, we'll stabilize this. It'll take us, 4 months, 6 months, however long, right, to stabilize this asset. And then boom, we're cash flowing 10 grand a month. So that's something to keep in mind. Let me make sure, because I realized I wasn't sharing my entire screen. So yeah, I kind of broke it down here, but again, if you see it's like 2,000 a month, I'm going negative where I'm losing money. You have to have reserves set in place, which is why this is so key. People don't talk about that. They just talk cash flow. They just talk about, oh yeah, just your rents minus your mortgage. It's like, no. Like you have to consider, especially with insurance, you have to be even super conservative. That's why people are being, especially out here, they're being even more conservative with their information or with the deals that they're acquiring. So sorry guys, sorry that my sound went away, but I think I went through all of it. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. I hope this was insightful. It was insightful for me, even kind of going through it. But this just kind of gives us some insights into how to underwrite. Maybe I'll do a makeup video where I kind of go through it, kind of catch where the sound went out, and then go from there. But this was really insightful for me too. So if you guys are interested in joining our off market like commercial school community, definitely if you're on Instagram, just go on my profile and sign up through there. It's guys, the value, the classes that we have is like insane, with the amount of courses and classes where we just kind of go through and calls that we go through. So I'm just going to kind of quickly just finish since we have a couple minutes. Into all of that. So yeah, join our school community. We have literally everything, and I'm literally every day I'm just updating the classroom or the course. But you saw in the calendar, we have 4 calls a day and 4 calls a week, and this is all free, guys. And it's not always going to be free because we understand the value that we're providing, but we literally want you guys to succeed, and I'm literally showcasing the blueprint on how to get into commercial and how to do it the super easy way by collaborating with others or people that are already doing it. So definitely check it out. But thank you guys. You guys can reach us here. You have if you're don't have my Instagram, you can see it over here. But until next time, if this is something that you guys found helpful, where I'm on YouTube and I'm on Instagram, I'll definitely do it for the next couple weeks until maybe I decide not to. But again, just here to help you guys out. But thank you guys so much. Until next time.